Anything will work.
One of the greatest feelings when you come to a racetrack is when all of the engines are fired up and the green flag flies in the air. It's about to take place on the 2009 season. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is underway.
Great crowd cheering them off, sending them on their way. That feeling never gets old, does it, Phil? Hearing those motors fire up and take the green flag at Daytona.
They were dead even entering turn number 1. Now Colin Brown has pulled out just a little bit ahead of the outside truck of Matt Crafton.
One of the things that Series Director Wayne Auten emphasized to all the drivers in the driver meeting was the bumpers don't match up. You cannot bump draft in the truck series.
But you want to really bad. You just think, I just need to give him a little push and we'll be on around this guy. But it just doesn't work well, Phil.
Yeah. He says, I'm not going to bump him. I'm just going to ease against him. And you end up bumping him. We had that happen in practice a couple days ago.
Across the start-finish line for the first time, leading the first lap of 2009 is Colin Brown. Right behind him, 3-time Super Speedway winner Todd Bodine, all over his back bumper. Look at the way the truck is jumping around already on lap number 2.
You know, it's amazing. We saw from our practice sessions all these trucks jumping around, and they go down in the garage area, and I asked these guys how their trucks are. They said, oh, pretty good, driving pretty good. And we're watching them jump around.
Mike Skinner running third, right behind him.
Ricky
Carmichael
laid up in there, just trying to suck up all the knowledge he can, understand everything he can about this truck and how this race will play out. He's never been here before. He doesn't know what to expect.
Not even close to anything that he's feeling right now. And I tell you, he really came into the garage area very humble, like a sponge, wanting to learn about these trucks and about this kind of racing.
Saw a windshield tear off flying around there in between some of the trucks. A lot of turbulent air out on the racetrack. We see a few sparks, a couple trucks bottoming out.
And you got to know, Rick, they're running over 180 miles an hour, and the thing just hits concrete, hits the pavement. it makes the thing want to jump outside of Daytona Beach.
Seeing them line up now. Again, fourth back from the front is the 4 of Ricky Carmichael. Ray.
At driver intros, he was standing around with Mike Skinner and Todd Bodine. They said, are you surprised to be this far up front? He said, absolutely not. I know we've got a really good piece, but they said, listen, Ricky, what you got to learn is you've got to get in that draft and follow people, feel how your truck is doing, make some adjustments on it. Don't try to be a hero too early. And Ricky said, listen, guys, I'm here to learn all year. I'm not trying to be a hero too early, but I do think we're good enough to win this race. Adam?
When you look at the stats of who has won races at Daytona, virtually every one of them are guys with experience, veterans who have been around the sport for a long time. The lone exception, Carl Edwards. When he won here in 2004, he was driving the very chassis that Colin Brown leads the field with tonight. And Colin trying to join Carl Edwards in the youth movement, not only with the win here at Daytona, but doing it for Roush Fenway Racing as Brian Scott goes side by side with TJ Bell.
Check this truck of Brian Scott out exiting turn 4 just a lap or 2 ago. Whoa, he tried to side draft off the truck inside of him, and the truck moved up. The 11 made a move up the hill a little bit, and I don't think Brian was quite ready for it. He almost got into the outside wall.
Yeah, big time wiggle. He caught that truck just before he got into the outside wall. Remember, he was a victim of circumstances earlier in practice a couple days ago and had made some pretty significant contact with the outside wall.
TJ Bell hit a bump or something. His truck moved up the hill, and Brian said, well, I wasn't ready for that.
TJ Bell is in the 11. That's the white truck just in front of Brian Scott.
Remember, guys, that 51 of Kyle Busch, Rowdy Busch, is in this race right now. He's being shown in the 16th position, but that truck will make its way to the front.
He started 19th, and I've been watching Kyle a little bit, not making a whole lot of progress. These trucks have dedicated themselves to be on the bottom, all in a line so far. That won't last long.
It won't last long at all.
Hey, Ray Dunlap, who have you been focusing on?
Brian Scott. I listened to him as they were rolling off of the grid, and he said to his crew chief, Jeff Hensley, I'm seriously considering dropping to the back early on in this race to find out what we've got. He said, I know. I've watched these races. I know how many times there's a big one. He said, I want to finish this race, and now he's in it. He's spinning out on the racetrack.
Brian Scott right in the middle of a 3-wide situation. He gets it pointed the right direction. The caution comes out. And you see that 40. That's Mike Bliss, a new sponsor coming on board just for this race.
Those guys just weren't organized going through that first and second turn. They all were wandering around, darting and dicing, and wind up making contact.
Damage there, Gary.
See a little bit of damage on the right front of that truck.
I don't think this truck's hurt at all.
Not at all. And Brian looked like he was in the middle of a sandwich there, and he got a little bit out of shape and made some contact. Was it with the 11 truck of TJ Bell? Is that who the contact was with?
I believe it was. He was on the outside. Brian Scott was down in the middle, and there was just no more real estate left.
There he is right here. You see TJ is trying to go around the outside of Shane Sieg, has to back off, and then Brett Raymer, this 85 truck, actually moved up a little bit, and then really Brian had nowhere to go because TJ Bell was coming down.
And look, Brian spins out right in the middle of the pack and just drives off. The guy that really got the most damage in that crash was Bliss.
There's another view right here. Watch the 11 go to the outside.
And watch the 85. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. 85 hits a bump, moves up. Scott has to move up. Boom.
And TJ was coming down at the same time.
Now the field has been picked up by the pace truck, and this is going to be our first sight of what's going to take place with the pit stops, the new rule change. We're going to take another look here at why Brian Scott's turned around.
Great job by TJ Bell. He got hit in the left rear quarter panel hard, but he was able to maintain control of his truck.
Yeah, that 32 truck of Chase Austin did a nice job. His first time ever here at Daytona. He did a great job avoiding that incident.
There's Mike Bliss and that number 40. It's the Oakland Steel Buildings, number 40 for Mike Bliss.
The owner, Curtis Ski, told me that after qualifying yesterday, he had a gentleman call him from Alabama, and he said, I want to sponsor your truck at Daytona. And Curtis said, that's what's on this truck right now. Oakland Metal Buildings out of Alabama.
Yep, they are. They're going to do 3 races is what I've heard. So that is great. Bringing on a sponsor here at Daytona in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Now, again, I mentioned the rules changes are going to be no more, I guess, under a spotlight than right now, because early on a caution comes out. You can not change tires and add fuel at the same time. So now the crew chiefs are going to say, okay, do we put tires on right now or do we change fuel?
I don't think they do either right now. I think these guys mostly will stay out, Phil. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you're at the very back of the pack, then you have nothing to lose. And I think it's so early, these guys are limited to the number of sets of tires that they can use. I think they will just come in, dump a little fuel in if you're at the back of the pack.
And let's remind the folks at home why this rule is in effect now. They're trying to save the team's money. They're putting less guys over the wall. They're giving the crews a chance to breathe a little bit when it comes time to pit. And it's all done in an effort to save the team's money, which you have to applaud NASCAR. That's what this is all about, just trying to survive and keep racing trucks. Kyle Busch to pit road.
First few trucks making their way onto pit road, right?
Very simple plan here for Kyle Busch is try to do what the leaders don't do. Get on a different cycle, putting fuel in that number 51, and he'll go right back to the racetrack. Double A.
Defending series champion Johnny Benson said my truck is way too tight. Bruce, the crew chief, said free him up. Here he comes down pit road now. It will just be a chassis adjustment and top off the fuel tank. Back down to Ray.
It'll be 4 tires, though, for Brian Scott. He definitely flat spotted him, so they'll put tires on this time, and that'll put them on a different cycle than most of the other guys. With fresh tires on here, next time they come to the pits, they may be able to do fuel only. We see David Starr, also another one on my end that came in for gas.
So again, our first caution has come out. It came out just after lap 5, and it was too many trucks and not enough room. Brian Scott into the 11. He goes around, and then everybody's pointing the right direction.